What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and here's my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. So, this is definitely going to be an X-rated episode. So, if you're under 18, please do not watch this video. Just need to let you all know because I'm going to be talking about a lot of X-rated stuff in this episode. I actually been wanting to talk about this for a while, really. It's going to be a bit freaky, but you guys should be used to this by now, those of you who've been watching me for a long time. So as most of you guys should know by now, I'm actually a gold star gay guy. However, my sexual preferences are still quite limited, as in I don't suck penis at all and I can't take it up the ass at all either, which is kind of the reason why I can't find a lover or partner at all, but most of you know how that story goes. To be completely honest with all of you, really the only thing that I enjoy sexually is having my penis sucked on a lot, aka oral sex performed on me, but I don't suck penis myself though. And the truth is, I honestly love having my penis sucked on more than guys usually do. Like, seriously, I actually had guys who have ghosted me because I wanted them to suck on my penis too much, and they ghosted me for it. It's one of the struggles of being Joe Winko, honestly. But one day I'll find a guy who won't. I even write about that in almost every single one of my love spell petitions. Here's the book that I write them all in, about how I'm trying to summon a crazy obsessive guy who would want to suck on my penis over and over and over again. I definitely feel like it's going to take something supernatural for me to attract that, honestly. But I'm seriously not into anal sex at all, really. And the sad thing is, it seems like that's all that most gay men are actually into. As I said, I can't take it up the ass, but also another thing is that when I'm fucking a guy in the ass, I can't orgasm from it, really. It doesn't stimulate me the same way a guy's mouth does. Also, not to mention that I don't like getting shit on my penis either, in lack of better terms to describe that. And I really always felt that way ever since I was a kid and ever since I first found out about my sexuality. Like, I always knew how a man and a woman have sex with each other. Well, I didn't always know, but I knew about it for a very long time. The guy's penis goes inside the woman's vagina. But I remember back when I was a kid, I got really curious and I was wondering, how do two men have sex with each other then? So, back when I was a kid, I mean, around that time, porn was all over the internet, well, exactly as it is now. So I Google searched, how do two men have sex with each other? And I found a bunch of gay porn videos and I started watching them. And then I remember the first gay porn video I watched, and it was one video of a guy ramming his penis up another guy's ass. And then I was just like, oh my god, that's actually what they do? And I got like really freaked out and I didn't want to watch any more of it because it kind of freaked me out and kind of scared me a bit. I mean, not just for the guy getting it up the ass, but the guy, like, giving it up the ass. Like, I didn't think it looked fun for either of them, honestly. But then I ended up finding another video of one guy getting orally copulated by another guy, getting his penis sucked on by another guy, and I started watching that video, and he was, like, doing it, like, really slow and sensually. And I was noticing that the guy who was getting his penis sucked was like really enjoying it the whole entire time. And ever since that's when I always prefer to have my penis sucked on instead, really. And it turns out that there's actually a term for that, like as there is for top and bottom. The term is side. That's a guy who doesn't like having anal sex at all. That means that he just likes getting sucked off or doing the sucking. However, I don't use that term to describe myself because I also don't like doing the sucking either. I honestly don't like for anything to go in my mouth ever. That's the reason why I'm so skinny, 6'3" and 140 pounds in case you guys are wondering. But I really don't like to have anything go in my mouth. I really prefer to just be the guy who's getting my penis sucked instead. And tons of guys call me selfish for that, but that's worthy of a whole new other episode of Joe Winko Talk. One thing that I always wanted to do was to find one crazy obsessive guy who would constantly want to suck my penis over and over and over again, even after he makes me orgasm, and even while I'm busy doing other stuff, like even while I'm editing my YouTube videos or while I'm playing video games or making mods for SimCity 4 and The Sims 2. Like down between my legs, like constantly orally copulating me, really. I actually have told that to a whole bunch of guys that I have talked to on Tinder, and they always tell me, oh, well, if I'm sucking you off while you're working on your computer, that's going to end up distracting you. And, I mean, because of my autism, I take things like very literally. That always pisses me off whenever a guy tells me that, really, because it's not distracting at all, really. I actually hate it when guys tell me that. I mean, yeah, if you're like vigorously sucking on me, that's definitely going to distract me and everything. However, if you're just like softly sucking on me or suckling me, which is the correct term I'm looking for, if you're just like suckling me or just holding it in your mouth instead, that's not going to distract me at all, really. I mean, I'm definitely going to notice you and I'm definitely going to be feeling it the whole entire time, but it's not going to throw me off or distract me. And that's honestly what I prefer. It's mainly that I enjoy the human contact and the connection with another man like that, honestly. Like, it's extremely simple, but it's like very intimate, like him just like holding the most vulnerable part of my body inside of his mouth, really. That's my best way of explaining it. Another thing I wanted to try was to like hypnotize a guy so he just like stays down between my legs the whole entire time in a hyper aware, pleasurable state while he's like sucking on my penis the whole entire time. However, every single guy I had brought that up to is always scared to try that with me for some reason. But again, that's a whole different story that's worthy of a different episode of Joe Winko Talk in itself. But that honestly would help me concentrate even better because like the human contact would actually help me concentrate even better. And this is going to sound kind of weird, but it's kind of like the time where one of my babysitters taught me how to ride a bike without training wheels, and they were like holding on to the handlebars for me while I was holding on to the handlebars, and I felt their hand touching my hand at the same time while they were doing it, and that helped like motivate me to ride my bike without the training wheels back when I was a kid. That's the closest analogy that I can draw from that, but that's basically what I'm saying, really. But overall, I definitely know that it would help me concentrate better and would help motivate me to edit my videos faster if a guy was down between my legs, constantly sucking on my penis over and over and over again, because I actually have experienced that before. So this was actually a couple years ago. I met this guy on the rideshare section of Craigslist because you guys know how I always like to go on road trips but can't get anywhere by myself. So I always have to post ads online to find someone to take me somewhere. Well, I posted an ad on the rideshare section of Craigslist because there was a place that I wanted to go visit and do a video at. And this guy replied to my ad on Craigslist and he said, "Oh, I see you want to go to this place and you want to do your YouTube video blog there. I'll be more than happy to take you." And then I was like, "Okay, let's get together." And yeah, like, same thing I typically always do, really. So for this guy, let's just say his name is Tony. Not his real name, but that's the name I'm going to be using in this video. He replied to my ad on the rideshare section of Craigslist, and I gave him the address to come pick me up from, and then he picked me up and we went on a road trip together. We were sitting next to each other the whole entire time. I had my shirt off, as I always do, really, whenever I'm on a road trip and whenever I'm filming myself on my dash cam. And me and him were talking to each other the whole entire time. And when I first saw him, I actually thought that he was Mexican or Latino at first. He was like in his 40s from what I remember, and roughly the same height as me, kinda. And he had a dad bod also. He wasn't like thin and willowy like me, but he had a dad bod. And he had flesh the same color as mine. And he had this black wavy hair. I actually made him in The Sims 4. This is what I remembered he looked like. So here's a picture of him. Yeah, I made him in The Sims 4. Just imagine him being real. So that's what he looked like. He also had like these really light brownish eyes. They weren't like black eyes, but they were like these light brownish eyes. And I thought he was pretty handsome. I mean, definitely among Joe Winko standards, but I basically almost think all guys are handsome, to be completely honest with you. So during the long drive, me and him were talking to each other the whole entire time, and we were just talking about random stuff the whole entire time. And I actually asked him what is he mixed with, because I noticed that he wasn't white at all. And he told me that he was actually, this isn't the word that he used, but technically he was Arabian, and that's the adjective that I use to describe people from the Middle East. But he told me the specific country that he was actually from. It was either Iraq or it was Iran that he told me he came from. One of those countries. And he told me he moved to the USA like about 10 years ago, and he was from Iraq or Iran. That's where he was born. And I thought that was really interesting, really. It's not every day you meet someone from Iraq or Iran. He also looked a lot like me also, because he had skin that was the same color as mine. Well, as you guys know, my skin constantly changes colors. But he had skin that was the same color as mine, and he reminded me of myself. He also had black eyebrows, too. However, one of the things that I'm mixed with is actually Egyptian, so it makes perfect sense. Technically Egyptians, well, technically they are black, but they're also somewhat considered from the Middle East as well. So then I actually told him all the stuff that I mixed with, and in case you guys want to know, I mixed with Hawaiian, Greek, Native American, Egyptian, Italian, Jamaican, Haitian, Scandinavian, and Scottish and Irish. And he thought that that was very interesting. I also thought it was really interesting that he was from Iraq or Iran and that he was Middle Eastern and that he was Arabian, because I actually thought that he was Mexican or Latino at first. And when I told him that, he told me that's usually what he tells people, that he's actually Mexican or Latino, because he said that after 9/11 happened, that people from the Middle East, like, they're usually not respected in the USA after 9/11 happened and everything like that. And when he told me that, I just told him that I actually believe that 9/11 and the terrorist attacks were actually an inside job done by the US government, because there are a lot of people who actually believe that the USA did all the 9/11 attacks on their own selves and everything. And that's a whole different story that's worthy of another video. But that's what I told him. And it seems like whenever I tell someone from the Middle East that I believe 9/11 was an inside job, whenever I tell that to someone from the Middle East, it's like me and them like immediately become friends with each other. And yeah, Tony was no exception. So right then, me and him became friends with each other. Well, we were already friends to begin with. He told me that he trusted me enough to tell me that he was from the Middle East because he was able to tell that I seemed like a cool person. And I thought that was really sweet and really nice of him, honestly. So we were on the road with each other for a long time, and we kept talking to each other and getting to know each other the whole entire time. And then eventually we started talking about sexual stuff, and then he asked me if I was gay, and like, I didn't know how he would react to this, but I was assuming he'd be okay with it. And I straight up told him yes, that I actually am. But right after I told him that, I also told him my sexual limits as well. That I don't suck penis and that I can't take it up the ass. And that the only thing I really like doing or having done is having my penis sucked on by another man all the time, really. And then I remember his reaction when I told him that. He was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's all I'm really into." And I explained to him why I wasn't into anal intercourse or anything like that. I mean, I will do it if the guy seriously wants me to, but only if I'm the top. But I just don't enjoy it very much. Not nearly as much as I enjoy having my penis sucked on. So he told me that he thought that that was very interesting, and he actually told me that he himself was actually bisexual, and that he does stuff with men and women, but he really prefers to do stuff with guys. And he told me that the reason why he replied to my rideshare post on Craigslist and the reason why he was taking me on the road trip is because he liked the pictures I had of myself on my post, and he thought I was really sexy and he wanted to spend a lot of time with me because of that. And he's told me that he was interested, and if I really liked having my penis sucked, he would definitely do that for me a lot once we got to the motel room over and over again. And I was definitely all for it. Because another thing I forgot to mention is he also had like a really long beard. And yeah, you all should know how I feel about guys with beards too. So yeah. And he also told me that it's okay that I don't want to suck his penis at all, and that I can't take it up the ass either, or that I don't want to do anal sex. And that definitely made me feel comfortable, honestly. It's always something that I worry about when a guy really wants that, because I don't do it ever. under no circumstances. And then after a while, he started telling me that he actually likes sucking other guys off, and he actually loves doing it and everything. And I thought that that was very interesting, because that also is very unusual, really. And let me explain to you guys exactly what I mean by that. Usually, it's only white guys who like sucking penis, and this is just from what I notice. Usually, like, guys of color, like, not just black guys, but also Mexican guys or Latino guys or Asian guys or Islander guys or mixed guys like myself or Arabian guys like Tony. Usually men of color are always the insertive ones during gay sex, and it's usually white guys who are the receptive ones during gay sex. I mean, like, obviously there's tons of white tops also, but usually only white guys are the ones who are bottoms. And notice how I said usually, not like all the time, really. I mean, it's not like it's impossible to find a guy of color who's a bottom, but usually it's only white guys who are the receptive partners. But yeah, that was another thing that I thought was really interesting. I mean, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, obviously, as you guys will soon know from the story. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I actually thought that was cool, really, to meet a guy of color who's actually open to being the receptive partner, really. So then it started getting late, and we checked into the motel room for the night, and there was also some more stuff that I needed to do, actually, because you guys know how in all my adventure videos, when you see me at a different location, I'm always like rambling about stuff. Well, duh, of course I'm talking about stuff. Usually for that, I usually like always have like talking points written out like in a notebook or something like that. But I didn't plan those out well enough, so I needed to write more talking points for the location. And I'm not going to be telling you guys which location it actually was. But I had my computer with me, and I needed to look up more information about the location we were going to so I can figure out exactly what I was going to say in the video. And he saw me like setting up my computer, and then he told me, "Oh, you're getting on your computer? Didn't you want me to suck your penis for you, or did you want to wait till after?" And I straight up told him, "Oh no, we don't have to wait till after. You can suck on my penis while I'm writing down the talking point notes." And he was like, "Really? Won't that distract you?" And I'm like, "No, it won't. I mean, just make sure to go like really slow and don't like overstimulate me or anything." So yeah, he was all for it, and I was all for it, because at that point I had never tried that before, and I figured it wouldn't distract me at all, but yeah. So then I connected to the Wi-Fi and I started reading about the place, and I was taking the notes. He got between my legs and he wrapped his arms around my waist and he put his mouth on my penis and he started like sucking on me like really slowly, like this really firm yet gentle suction. Like he wasn't like vigorously going up and down, he was like gently sucking on my penis the whole entire time. And my best way of describing it, it was like wearing a very comfortable pair of underwear. I mean, I know that sounds, well, you guys are used to that by now. I know that sounds weird, but that's my best way of describing it. and he was just like down between my legs, like copulating me the whole entire time, and it wasn't distracting at all, really. One thing that I did notice is that it actually caused me to like work even slower. Like it caused me to write slower because I was being stimulated at the same time, but it wasn't distracting at all. And the weird thing is, like, like, I read a lot of posts on Reddit where people, like, write about their sexual experiences and everything. And I remember reading on Reddit that there was, like, this one couple where this woman was a dominatrix and her husband came in to her while she was at work. Well, that's not what I meant, but her husband came into her office while she was at work, and that he was under the table and that he was like licking her and eating her out and everything. And then he said that he couldn't do it all day because he didn't want to distract her or anything. And I thought that was weird because when a guy was, well, then again, I mean, the dominatrix woman that I was reading about was a female. I'm a guy, so we have different anatomy, but still should feel the same, I guess. But when a guy was doing that to me, I didn't feel distracted at all. Yet, yeah, I was noticing it, and it was causing me to write slower than usual, but I didn't feel distracted at all. And I literally felt like it was motivating me really and helping me concentrate even better. Like literally like someone was holding my hand, except they weren't actually holding my hand. They were actually holding my penis instead. So I had both of my hands free, so I was able to click and I was able to write and do everything that I needed to do. And yeah. So my best guess is that that went on for like roughly an hour to an hour and 30 something minutes the whole entire time. Because you have to remember, I was writing slower and everything. But also another thing I was doing over and over again, and this is what I always do whenever a guy is going down on me. Like I was massaging his shoulders with one of my hands, and I was like running my hands through his hair and caressing his cheeks. And he later ended up telling me that I kept doing that over and over again. And he told me that it was really sweet of me to actually like rub my hands on his shoulders and like caress his cheek. He said that there was something like very passionate about my touch and everything. And I didn't even notice myself doing that very often. I mean, I thought I was just doing it every now and then. So my best guess is that I was like doing that subconsciously, really. Then when I was like finally done taking all my notes and everything, and I turned off my computer and I like sat back and finally looked down at him, he was looking up at me and he was like staring directly into my eyes, and he had the most aroused look on his face. Like my penis was like still inside of his mouth, but he had the most aroused look on his face. And then I was just like, oh, how are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm doing, and he was talking while he had it in his mouth, which actually is possible, something I plan on doing another video about sometime. He was telling me that like I looked so focused the whole entire time, and that he was like looking up at me and watching me the whole entire time. And he said that I looked focused the whole entire time. And he said that he was able to tell that he was helping motivate me to take all my notes on the destination. And he said that the words he used was that was so sexy, but he found it like sexually arousing the whole entire time. And then I was just like, well, yeah, you definitely were helping me concentrate. as I said earlier, it was like you were holding my hand the whole entire time, except you weren't holding my hands, and I had both of my hands free. And yeah, he was, me and him got along really good. And then he finally sat me back and sucked the load out of me right after I was done vigorously. Yeah, if he was doing that while I was taking notes, I wouldn't have been able to concentrate then, but at that point it was all fine then. So yeah, that's what me and him did. And yeah, me and him got along really well, especially because after that I started calling him my Arabian sex god, and he would always blush and start laughing whenever I'd call him that. And he absolutely was my Arabian sex god, really. Yeah, but then after that, like after the road trip was over and after he drove me back to Florida, I mean, we kept in touch for some time, but eventually he forgot about me and it dissipated. And sadly, that's usually what happens, really. I mean, even when things go good between me and the person, guys forget about me way too easily for some reason. Don't mean to talk down on myself, but it is absolutely true. That's why I'm trying to find a crazy obsessive guy instead, as I said in many of my videos, really. But yeah, that's the reason why. A guy who won't forget about me, and one day I will absolutely find that. So I'm not really sure if I can actually call that a fantasy anymore, since it's something that I already done in real life, but it is something that I definitely want to do again, really, because it was very nice, as I explained. But I really want to have the same guy do that with me over and over and over again, honestly. Another thing that I forgot to mention earlier is because of my autism and my ADHD, for some reason, whenever I'm working on stuff on my computer, I have a tendency to get up and pace around and walk around a lot for some reason when I'm in deep thought or have a lot of thoughts going on in my mind. I have a tendency to pace around and think about stuff. And I do that even when I'm working on something on my computer. Like, I'll stop what I'm working on so I can get up and pace around and think about stuff. And that's a weird habit that I always had. However, if a guy was constantly down between my legs, sucking on my penis over and over again the whole entire time, I would be much less inclined to get up and pace around a lot, really. Well, actually, I wouldn't be inclined to get up and pace around at all, really. So that in turn would help me finish editing my videos or working on my Sims 2 mods or my SimCity 4 mods or whatever the heck I'm doing even faster, really. Even though, as I said earlier, like, I tend to work slower while I'm feeling myself being orally copulated while I'm working on my computer, it still would help me finish it even faster because I wouldn't be inclined to get up and pace around and think about stuff a lot. And plus I wouldn't get bored of whatever I'm doing so fast because I literally would have that motivation, not to mention the human contact, really. It's actually very weird because, like, most of the time with people with autism, you think that, like, it's commonly believed that people with autism don't like any human contact, like they can't stand being touched or anything like that. But with me, it's a completely different story, honestly. I mean, not gonna lie, but yeah. Just depends on who it is, really. I mean, I obviously don't want to be touched by a female, really, but, well, that should be obvious enough to you guys. Anyone who's been listening to what I've been saying and talking about this whole entire time. And I guess that some of you guys could say that that came from me being molested at a young age. Well, I was 12, and it didn't really go the way you guys are thinking it went, really. But that was like long after I started thinking about sexual stuff, really. I mean, I kind of was precocious when it came to that stuff. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I'm seriously hoping that I do end up finding someone like that, like a Velcro man, as I like to call it. I mean, I know I wrote like one love spell petition about that. But yeah, can everyone watching this video please imagine that I do end up meeting a guy like that, please? And also, can you please hope that he's also an anime fan as well? Because another thing about me is that I make a lot of videos with The Sims and The Sims 2. And for some reason, whenever I'm trying to watch one of my scary Sims 2 movies with a guy I met on a dating app, like, as soon as we start watching the movie and as soon as he realizes that the people are not real people at all, that they're all actually sim characters, he automatically gets uninterested and is like, what? These people aren't real. I don't want to watch this at all. If it's animated, they all look like video game characters. And that always bums me out. However, I kind of imagine that if a guy is an anime fan, like Elon Musk, then he would like watching my Sims 2 scary movies, and that would honestly make me feel a whole lot better. I haven't wrote a love spell petition about that yet, but I plan on doing that soon. I also kind of feel like if I found a guy who would be constantly sucking my penis even while I'm editing my videos or busy working on other stuff on my computer, that when we watch one of my scary Sims 2 movies with each other, he would feel proud because he would know that he was orally copulating me the whole entire time I was working on the video. And I don't know why, but I do know why. I honestly find that extremely sexually arousing, and hopefully the guy who ends up being my crazy guy who falls madly in love with me finds that sexually arousing as well. Well, obviously he will. There's also another thing that a lot of guys have told me before, a lot of guys who I talk to online. They all told me, like, when I tell them about my YouTube videos and when I send them links to my YouTube videos, they all tell me that they would love to be down between my legs, like performing oral sex on me while I'm doing a video blog. And I heard that from so many guys. However, I mean, guys have been telling me that for years. I don't want to tell you guys how old I am, but guys have been telling me that for years, and I never found a guy who I actually did that with. But one day I will. I'm not exactly sure what I would be talking about in that video either. It would have to be a happy video. It couldn't be like a morbid or gloomy video. I always imagined that I'd be chuckling and laughing the whole entire time if a guy actually did that. But nowadays, I don't think I would. I feel like I'd be like really relaxed and happy the whole entire time, because that's exactly how I feel whenever a guy in his 40s, 50s, 60s, or older than that is sucking on my penis for a long time. So yeah. Can everyone watching this video please hope that I end up finding that? It would definitely be appreciated, honestly. So that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. I hope you guys all liked it. So, yeah, let me know what you think of it in the comments of this video. As I said, it was very X-flicked and X-rated, but I hope someone enjoyed listening to me talk about this. Been wanting to talk about this for a while. So please let me know what you think. So don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So that's it. Peace out, people.